time to shoot the rock. This is the Rockcastle Gun Show on ESPN 102.7 FM, AM 1450, AM 1230, and streaming live on ESPNKY.com. Your weekly double-barrel dose of the biggest names, best products, and most intriguing topics in the world of firearms. Brought to you by Hilux Optics, Swagger by Pods, Shoot with Confidence, J&K Used Cars on the Bypass, and Mohawk Outdoors. In pursuit of liberty, justice, and all things guns. Here are your hosts, Nick and Nate Noble.
Hey, welcome back to the Rockcastle Gun Show. It's Nick and Nate Noble, your host. Producer Garrett Browning's in the house, and we're here at the ESPN studios in Bowling Green, Kentucky, ESPN 102.7. And, man, it's always good to come back on the airwaves. We're on a little bit early tonight for those of you listening live and streaming live. Being on ESPN radio every once in a while, you just get bumped because there's some great sporting events going on.
Yeah, we got Lady Toppers basketball here local at Western Kentucky University, and should be a good game up on the hill and in Diddle Arena. And man, we got a big show tonight. We got three awesome guests. Man, we're going to talk about some accessories that we don't get to talk about a lot, scope mounts, because last week we covered kind of some of the precision rifle stuff, and thought it'd be cool to talk about scope mounts. Got one of the biggest companies out there, Warren Scope Mounts, coming on, talk about their products. And then we're going to talk about a new product on the horizon, the next generation weapon system from the U.S. Army, and learn the facts and figures and what's going on with that. Back in the day of Vietnam, they did the M16, and then the M4 came on, and then now there's a new gun coming, and it's a big deal. And we're going to talk to the expert in the country on that from United Molded Plastics. And then one of our good friend of the Rockcastle Shooting Center and the Rockcastle Gun Show, Jacob Herman. He's the big dog over at Night Fishing. They make a new, glowing pistol sights and stuff. And we're going to let them tell us all about that because they got some really cool products.
Yeah, sometimes we jump into the guns, sometimes we jump into the accessories and things like that. And it's always good to get different voices and personalities, and that's kind of the whole, the point of this show. If you're a regular listener, if this is the first time you've ever listened to us, each week it's a little something different. Sometimes we talk sporting and shooting sports, and we talk to personalities. We do guns and gear, and tonight's another good example, man.
Yeah, and Cave Mountain Clays, the lowdown on the high ground up there, they got a registered shoot this weekend. I don't know what he's calling it. Could be breaking clays like ice, or it could be called the winter chill or something, winter blast. I don't know. But come on, registered shoot. Going to be high 40s on Saturday. It'll be good to get out and shoot some clay targets up at Cave Mountain Clays. Probably the last registered shoot of the year, I'd imagine. And for those of you that need the points, got to get out there. For those of you that already have the points, come on and shoot anyway.
That's right. So, we're going to kind of get in. Let's jump right into our first guest, Nate.
Yeah, first guest, Justin Schmidt. He's a sales and product manager from Warren Scope Mounts. Warren has been a huge supporter of the shooting sports over the years, and definitely the big matches that go down at Rockcastle Shooting Center. Justin, welcome to the Rockcastle Gun Show on ESPN Radio, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, what's going on out there? You're in Oregon, right?
We are. Yeah, heading toward getting toward the end of the day, so it's moving along quickly, and weather's nice out, which is rare for this time of the year, so can't wait to get out and enjoy it.
Yeah, we're probably nicer. You got nicer weather than we do probably right now. It's freezing cold and snowing here in Kentucky. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely nicer than that.
Yeah. So, man, Warren Scope Mounts, a lot of people may not even know, depending on how they purchase their gun and optic, they may not even know they have your stuff on there. But you guys have been in the game for, I think, 28 years now? 26 years?
28 years.
Yeah, 28 years. And you make all kinds of stuff from the rings and mounts and scope bases, 1-piece, 2-piece, all different millimeter sizes for every different kind of scope. You've got into some new products lately, and a lot of people forget about the tools that you guys make, which are awesome. I use them all the time. And let's go through some of this stuff. Start maybe with some of your new products that a lot of people may or may not know you guys come out with.
Sure. Well, I'd say probably the biggest launch in the last couple of years that we did, which is really outside of the realm of scope mounts. Again, we do pretty much every scope mount you can think of in every configuration. So if you can put a scope on it, we likely have a mount for it. But the biggest launch we did was a product that's not in that family category, which was our precision bipod. That was about 2 years ago now that we officially launched it, and it's been very successful so far. But it's a great precision rifle bipod. It has a lot of features that you won't find anywhere else with any other products, whether it be the panning or canting ability or the positions of the legs. It's got a rapid deploy on one side. It's got a 3-position on the other. And then the legs are spring-loaded, so you can adjust on the fly. You never have to come off the gun. But that was really our kind of launch into another product segment. And then to go along with that, we have our whole Skyline series of mounts and accessories. The mount in that series is a modular one-piece precision rifle scope mount, and it's got different interfaces that you can attach different accessories, Picatinny rails, levels. We have an articulating data card holder, but really the whole Skyline series is geared toward precision rifle shooters.
Yeah, it's a great time to come out with that product launch. I saw a lot of that up at SHOT Show and at the NRA annual meetings, but precision rifles just going gangbusters. And the things like a lot of people, miss out on things like having the ability to put a bubble level on there, how important that is to your optic, and especially with, the data cards with all the precision rifle shooting going on. And a lot of people probably that aren't in the game don't realize that you can get some mounts with some elevation built into them too, right? So you don't bottom out scopes.
Absolutely, yeah. We do, in any of the rails that we do our Mountain Tech and our tactical rails, or Picatinny rails. In any of the rails, we offer them in 0 MOA, which is flat, essentially in line with the level of your bore. And then we also offer them in a 20 MOA. In most cases, on the vast majority of precision rifles out there, you're going to run a 20 MOA for that extra range. But what we've found is there's a lot of guns coming out now, a lot of chassis-based rifles that don't have a 20 MOA built into it already. And there may not be the ability to change the rail because of the specific height to match up with a handguard or something like that, or you're stuck with a 0 MOA rail on a long-range gun. So we have other mounts that you would mount to that have 20 MOA built into it as well, so you can still have that ability.
Yeah, what's the value? I know you guys, I have one on two different guns that I have, but the one-piece base mount rings, the whole piece, where's the value in those come from based on split rings, different mounts, and all that?
It's just based on the application. So they all have their advantages and disadvantages. Honestly, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with a 2-piece set of rings. They're as strong as anything you're ever going to put on there. Some advantages you get with a one-piece mount is that it's one piece. It's less apt to have any misalignment between the rings. It can compensate for tolerance stacking and any slight differences between them. So you never have to lap or worry about using alignment rods or anything like that. The other thing with a one-piece mount is it gives you a good amount of flexibility on your Picatinny rail, and then we can do things like with our Skyline mount. It has 2 integral recoil lugs, so they're machined into the mount body themselves, and you get 4 cross bolts connecting the clamp to the mount, so it's very, very strong, and you can do some pretty neat things because you have a standard spacing between the rings, but it really depends on your application. Both are good systems. They each have their place.
And I'm sure a lot of that depends on the gun, too, as well. There's some guns you have to add the rail to put anything on, and then there's guns that have rails built onto them and some of the chassis and the receivers and whatnot, so I guess that just gives you some added flexibility.
Absolutely. If you have a gun that is a top-loading gun, say you have an old Winchester Model 70 or something where you're going to be top-loading it, the 2-piece base set is the way to go. It keeps the top open. It's much easier to get ammo in and out of the gun, and if you're constantly putting your hand in there, it's kind of a pain having a rail covering the top. If it's a detachable box magazine-fed rifle, of course, go with the rail because you're never really going to be sticking your fingers in there unless you have some kind of feeding issue. So they each have their place. They have their benefits.
Yeah, and you guys on your website, among other things, you have some pretty cool little blogs on there about the new products, and there's one on precision rifle tech for hunting mounts, and then one on there for precision rifle tech for hunting the stock.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I mean, you guys give a lot of information on there. What else does the public need to know about Warren?
So those blogs, those are actually about one of my rifles that I built, where I was trying to blend those two worlds, which is funny you bring those up. But we're really an industry-leading scope mount manufacturer. Again, we're branching out into different accessories, but we've been in the industry a long time. And honestly, if you could put a scope on a gun, we can certainly help you out. One thing that we get a lot from the end users, when they call us, everybody always leaves happy because we'll have an answer one way or another. If you have a rifle, you have a scope, you have no idea what you're doing with those two things, and you need to marry them together, you just give us a call. We'll tell you exactly the base set you need, or the one-piece base, or the rings that you need. We'll even get you the right height so it mounts perfectly on that gun. But we have some really great experienced people here, and we're glad to help if you give us a shout.
And then
the other thing,
go ahead.
You mentioned our blog. Our blog is a great resource. If you have any questions as far as mounts go for several different platforms, take a look at our blog. Read through one of them, and you're an expert on everything you need to know on that platform pretty quickly. Also, we have feature benefit and install videos for pretty much every product family that we make as well, which goes into depth on anything you need to know about it.
And I'm sure you guys have some awesome technical service people up there. If some dude just got something he can't figure out how to put rings on it and mounts, I'm sure you guys can help him out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've got some great people here, and again, we've heard every story, so we hear all the time people say, this is probably an odd question, but they're not. We hear them all day long, so there's really not many instances where we can't help in some way.
What are some of the things that your average Joe that maybe hasn't done a lot of, mounting his scopes and things like that, just they don't know about the products, or just, I mean, is there anything out there that you can tell people on why they need to understand what you guys do and how you do it?
The biggest thing is get the proper basis for your gun. It seems like a pretty easy step, but you wouldn't believe the amount of people that you go into a store and you see all these different listings for fitment, and if you're not familiar with the guns, you really don't know. So we have a mount finder on our website. It can dial you down to the exact part number that you need, so when you walk into the store and you want to buy something, you have that confidence to do it. And then there's a lot of misconceptions out there about mounts, and there's a lot of, I'd say, kind of accepted standard practices for installation that may not actually be applicable for every style out there. You really have to know with what you get. Contact the manufacturer. If you end up with a set of our Maxima vertically split rings, the installation procedure for those is going to be very, very different from, say, one of our one-piece mounts, one of our X-scale mounts. So give us a shout if you have any questions. But we try to publish all that info out there. So if you struggle with anything, again, we have videos, we have blogs, and we have people that can help make sure that you get it mounted right on your gun. And then the other thing is, don't be afraid to do it yourself. We get a lot of guys that will only take their gun to a gunsmith or a store to have that person do it, where that person may know as much as you do about mounting that scope. So don't be afraid to do it yourself. It's an easy process. And with a couple basic tools, anybody can do it.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit last week in our hunting segment, but I'll throw some Rockcastle tips in there that we used last week for the Warren scope section of our show here is leveling the scope is critically important, and that doesn't mean the bubble level that you can get to put on your mount. Right. Leveling tools are crucial. If you're doing it in your dining room, kitchen, if you live in an old house, your table may not be level to set your gun on. You kind of got to get the right setup to do that, and there's a couple specialized levels, bubble levels, that can help you do that. And then the other critical thing is, no matter how many lugs it has to attach it to the rifle, or how many screws or whatever it has to attach the rings together, once you set the scope in it, you got to get those locked down with some Loctite so nothing moves. And then the most critical part of that is, obviously, you got to have the right size scope mounts, and it's crucial. There's Leupold scopes with 35 millimeter rings and 34 millimeter rings and 30 millimeter rings, and on and on and on. See, those are the most critical steps, but they're really not that hard to figure out. Like you said, don't be afraid to do it yourself. Go on that line and find some videos, and it's really easy to get to.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the real takeaway. If you don't know what you're doing, we have resources out there that can certainly help.
And obviously, you guys got a store locator on there. I saw it on your website. Pretty cool. So you can figure out where to get Warren scope mounts. I imagine pretty much most major gun retailers have them these days. Yeah,
we're in pretty much most places, pretty much everywhere. So, and that's the other thing. If you ever have trouble finding a product, let us know, and we can certainly track it down fairly easily.
Tell us about website, social media.
Yeah, website is www.warrenscopemounts.com. That's Warren with an E on the end, and mounts plural. And then we have a Facebook page and Instagram and every other platform. I don't know those exact links off the top of my head.
Well, thank you guys so much for all your support for the shooting sports. I know the shooters appreciate it. They always love getting those toolboxes. Hey, the tools are critical. I don't want to jump off here without. I use them all the time, and I never thought I would as much as I do. If you shoot a lot, you got to get the tools. You got the torque wrenches that have the built-in torque in them to lock down the big nuts. You got the screwdriver set, basically torque sets, and then you got the single torque wrench. So those are critical things to have. And they have the cool thing I like about the torque set is you got all the right sizes. You don't need to. You don't need to have multiple tools.
Yeah, no, I use that little multi-tool wrench that we sell. I've actually never used it on a scope mount in the field. I've used it for everything else, but it's super handy to have. We all shoot competitively, and we use those tools nonstop. So that's really where it comes from. We're users of the product, so like to see them be successful.
Well, Justin, we appreciate having you on the Rockcastle Gun Show, man. And you're a newbie on the show, but we'll have you back on one of these days.
I appreciate it anytime.
All right, tell everybody up there we said hello, and we're going to go pay some sponsors. We'll be right back on the Rockcastle Gun Show. You're listening to Rockcastle Gun Show on ESPN Radio 1027.com.
J&K Used Cars is the place to go when you need a quality automobile at an affordable price. Stop in at 670 on the Bypass in Bowling Green and see this week's special. 2006 Honda Ridgeline. Local trade comes with 4-wheel drive, good miles, leather interior, navigation and sunroof, chrome wheels, power options, and more for only $11,995. Hurry in because at that price it won't last long. J&K Used Cars with over 40 years of serving the community with affordable prices on quality automobiles. Visit J&K on the Bypass and online at jnkusedcars.com.
This is Nate from Rockcastle Shooting Center. Did you know that one of the premier shooting ranges in the world is right here in South Central Kentucky? Rockcastle Shooting Center has something for everyone's recreational shooting enjoyment. From 3D archery to our brand new sporting clays course, handgun ranges full of steel to targets out to a mile. There's no better place to get some trigger time than Rockcastle Shooting Center. Non-members are welcome, and memberships start at $150 per year. We offer a fantastic range of firearms training and education opportunities from the most basic to the most advanced. Come see us, exit 48 on I-65, Park City, Kentucky. Visit rockcastleshootingcenter.com.
This is a Morgan & Morgan consumer message.
If you've been in a car crash or suffered an injury, this could be the most important message you'll ever hear. Almost always, the person refusing to pay you is not the person who caused the injury. It's their insurance company, State Farm, Geico, Allstate, and the like. They make billions and billions of dollars by keeping as much money as they can in their own pockets. Big companies with the deepest pockets and an army of lawyers. Literally thousands. But at Morgan & Morgan, we too have an army of lawyers. And you know what else? Many of our lawyers came from the same insurance companies we now fight against. If you're injured in a car crash, slip and fall, or the victim of medical malpractice, our army will fight like hell for you. Just dial Pound Law on your cell phone. That's pound 529. Pound Law, that's all. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Offices, Bowling Green.
Rumor has it that Rafferty's goes all out for sports fans. And it's absolutely true. Fans love Rafferty's because the food is so terrific. Served fresh, fast, and friendly for lunch and dinner. Rafferty's menu is full of delicious dishes and generous portions of your favorites like steak, wings, ribs, and their legendary chicken salad. Dine in or take it on the run when you order online at Rafferty's.com. And don't forget a party tray for your next tailgate. Come hang with the sports gang at Rafferty's, the tastiest place in Bowling Green.
All right, Hells Bells, let's go. We're back
It's good
to
music
the
to
rock.
ring in this dude.
Yeah,
right
Rockcastle Gun Show here on ESPN Radio. If you're listening to this on the iTunes podcast, this is episode number 137, and we're really proud to be the only gun show on ESPN Radio, 102.7 here in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and several other markets up there, 106.1 in E-Town, Fort Knox. All of our folks up there stationed at Fort Knox are getting a lot of airtime up there, but they're on Saturday morning, so good morning up there in E-Town, Fort Knox area.
Yeah, and you'll be happy to have this guy on the radio because there's something new on the horizon here. We got a whole new product line coming into the marketplace that's going to change the history of the world, likely. So we brought on the expert. Jason Day is the Director of Business Development and Sales for Oneida Molded Plastics. And previously, with the U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command, Jason Day, what's going on, dude?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you now, man.
Good deal.
Hey, what's
Good
up?
evening.
Good evening, man. Good to talk to you again.
I'm glad to be on.
I was telling everybody, man. So it started with the M16 back in the NAM days, and then they moved it to the M4 platforms. And the Army is coming out for the next generation weapon system. And we know that you're the guy to talk to about this. So kind of give us what's going on first, and let's break it down a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So, like you said, we've had an M16 for a good long while, 50 plus years at this point. It served the military well. So, what's going on at this point is the Army's been chasing an updated, if you will, version of this for a good long while, and it's coming to fruition now at this point. It's going to be what we're looking at it's called the next generation squad weapons, it's two variants. You're going to see a rifle and then an automatic rifle. The rifle, in both these weapon systems, they're taking an interesting approach to this, and they're not going to replace this for everybody, right? Because this is going to be one of those things that's going to be a little bit more expensive. So they're trying to be the government's trying to be cautious of money, but so that they're going to look at this in what's called the close combat force. That's your infantry forces, your combat engineers, your Cav scouts, people that at the end of the day they close with and destroy the enemies of our country. So what you're looking at is a 6.8 round. Most of the what you're looking at out there is 6.8, and then the cartridge. The government, the U.S. government gave the firearms industry gave them this projectile. Said, hey, it's a 6.8 round, 6.8 projectile. It's up to you to figure out how you want to do the cartridge, right? So there's been a couple different looks on that, but it's going to be one just like you have right now, 5.56 in the squad in the platoon. The squad's got a 5.56 caliber SAW squad automatic weapon and M4. They're moving forward. That is the same principle. They're 6.8 round to work both in the rifle and the automatic rifle in the squad. At this point, what's gone on is there's been a down select. You had roughly 10 companies come in and start the competition for the next generation squad weapons. That's been whittled down to 3 now. You've got Sig Sauer, Textron Systems, and General Dynamics are your final 3. And here at roughly around the end of 2021, you're gonna see the winner get picked, and we'll have a new weapon, or 2 new weapons rather, in the squad.
So a lot of people don't know, a lot of the military weapons came from a lot of different companies, but Colt made them forever. I mean, they were one of the big manufacturers. And then when you get down to this, you got, Sig Sauer they made different guns for different branches, I guess, as on contract. But a lot of people don't know that General Dynamics and General Electric and Textron and these people, they're big weapons manufacturers and mostly military. These aren't companies that you generally see on the market, are they?
No, it's not. It was interesting. You had a lot of different people come in the competition, and General Dynamics and Textron are an example of, we'll call them non-traditional, firearms manufacturers that are there, and two of them got selected and performed really well.
Yeah, it's amazing because when you get into like the miniguns on the helicopters and even the people don't think of guns in the form of the same stuff that's on F-18s. It's just a bigger version, So all these big companies like General Dynamics and General Electric, they've been making these guns like that forever. And have they been in the small arms market that much, military side? Do you know?
Not really. Are you talking General Dynamics and Textron specifically? Yeah. Those companies, smaller companies, or those non-traditional firearms manufacturers?
Right. Yeah, they haven't made very many weapons like small arms and stuff, so it's pretty cool. And the guns, they don't look necessarily like the old M16. They're a little bit different. There's different variations from the three different manufacturers that I've seen pictures of, but they're little different styles, aren't they? They
are. You had just kind of going in the order I brought them up in. 6 Hours got a little bit more of a traditional looking design. It's going to be a more familiar feel, if you will, for those that are AR-15, AR-10 fans for their rifle. Machine gun's going to be different. It's not like a saw at all. M249 saw at all. Textron has got they're interesting because they've got a different approach ammunition wise. They've got they're the only company that took the whole projectile thought process and put a really interesting spin on it. They did a case telescoping round. So picture you've got your traditional looking bullet, if you will, projectile and then casing. Well, in the projectile, everybody that's familiar with firearms, we've got the projectile that protrudes out of the end of the casing and whatnot. Well, what Textron actually did was they took that projectile and they seated it down inside the case. So it's case telescoping, and they've got a different operating system, and it's an interesting, different approach to it. And then their weapon systems look, they're going to have a familiar feel, but it'll be a little bit different. And then General Dynamics came in with a complete curveball and threw a bullpup in there.
That's cool.
They're different.
Yeah, and so generally speaking, you're talking in layman's terms, they want to go to a bigger bullet, faster, bigger projectile, more stopping power, more knockdown power, more damage. Is that basically the thought process behind it?
It is. Without getting too terribly into the weeds, we identified that there's something out there that's dangerous to the soldier. And we've got to come up with new solutions in order to deal with it. Is essentially what's going on with that. So it's the way that we've identified, that the United States government identified that we've got to get after this.
Well, just being a civilian and a shooting range operator, you can see the world has changed a little bit with the precision rifle realm, and people are shooting a lot further. And the 5.56 has its limitations. So I can see the necessity of going to a 6.8, whether it's I don't know. There's some 6.8s on the market now, the 6.8 Grendel and stuff like. I think there's a new 6.8 Somme, different things. So it'll be interesting to see what it comes down to, man.
It will. There's going to be the other thing that's great about it is, and you brought it up, is it does give you longer ranges. So what that'll do for our U.S. forces or whatnot is it'll extend. It actually is going to extend their range out to past the 300-meter range we've been at for a good long while now. You're talking extending a squad's range out to 600 meters. And that's to be fairly easy to do with that new weapon system, as well as the other thing that's happening with these that to kind of go along with that is the Army's been smart on this. And there's going to be a new, they refer to it as fire control, but everybody in layman's terms refers to it as an optic, and it essentially is going to be an optic that goes specifically with these weapon systems. It'll have the kind of one of the cooler features I think in it is it's referred to as a disturbed reticle. So, it'll already have a laser rangefinder embedded with the optic. It's kind of up to the manufacturer how they decide to do that, but they essentially can, they reach up, hit that, activate that laser rangefinder. They get a distance back, and then based off of what the distance is, it go ahead. If you've got the traditional reticle design, just crosshair, easy to talk through. It goes ahead. What the disturbed reticle is actually doing is going ahead and giving you, your drop, what you've got to do for distance. So it's moving. If you've got a little illuminated dot in there, dead center, that illuminated dot, dead center, moves from dead center to 400 meters, 300 meters, whatever the distance comes back on the laser rangefinder. It's pretty neat.
For those of us in the shooting business, I mean, we don't work for any of these three companies, so people that know newer retail stuff, they're going to be thinking, oh man, SIG could get this because of the new BDX system, because that's exactly what it does. And it's got limitations out to about 900 on the BDX system on the scope, but you have to have a lot of other tools to go with it. So having it all built into the optic per se is pretty cool. But on the flip side of it, I would imagine General Dynamics and Textron are some pretty big sighting system companies too that probably have some wicked technologies on that.
They do, and and the interesting thing is that what we've seen across the board with a lot of the different companies is they came in and they recognize that most of the companies aren't a one fit all. I guess SIG is that conglomerate. They've got the perfect storm of everything underneath one roof, but the rest of the companies didn't. And the government left it open so that a Textron or a GD could partner with somebody else if they don't necessarily do the optic in house or don't want to.
Yeah, Jason, I was going to ask that because SIG definitely has got all the ammunition all the way to optics and obviously firearms manufacturer. This is obviously a fierce battle between three incredible companies and just the new technologies and everything that can be driven. It's literally going to change the history of the military and just everything from moving forward, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot riding on this contract.
Oh, absolutely, and it's great to see for the soldiers and whatnot, soldiers and Marines, and I'm sure the Air Force and Navy will probably just go ahead and adopt it as well. It's historic times. I mean, you talk about something that's been around for 50 plus years, since Vietnam, is what we're really looking at. Something that's been around since Vietnam, and we're finally getting around to changing it. I don't know if there are any other bigger times than what we're sitting in right now.
Are there folks nervous out there? I mean, nervous about, what if this thing doesn't work and operate the way it could, regardless of whoever wins the contract? There's got to be people, that been using this thing for 50 plus years, and change is always scary. There's some people scared out there.
Yeah, I think everybody resists change. Nobody. That's the one thing that's constant is change, but everybody also resists change. So, there's definitely people scared, but it appears, and I've got confidence that the Army's got its ducks in a row though, and it's going to be successful, and it's going to greatly enhance our squad, the squad's lethality.
And the other part of the scary part is on the manufacturing side, because imagine if you were one of those 10 manufacturers and you got into the hunt on the thing, and when you got it, you realized you really weren't ready to make that many guns. I mean, that's a big time supply side demand, and I'm sure they'll phase it, like you said, over time. But you got to be a big company to kind of handle stuff like that.
You do, and the Army's operating off of what's commonly referred to as its OTAs, other transaction authorities. It's not the FAR-based contract and that you've seen that really just makes things go slow. They're able to go quite a bit faster. Military acquisitions lets you be able to do essentially. You're going to get everything cut down in half. The traditional process goes 10 years, and they cut it in half. Now the interesting side on that, though, is all the firearms manufacturers and everybody that's been part of this government process has always been used to that, and it's definitely made the manufacturers. You heard them chirp up about that day one, like, hey, this is different, guys, and that absolutely is.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, Jason, tell us, how did you become an expert on this weapon platform? Tell us a little bit about your background.
So my background, I've done 12 and a half years active Army at this point. The 10 and a half of it was in 3rd Ranger Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment. I enlisted in the military at 18 years old, and I had a great time while I was there. And I've since transitioned over to the National Guard. I had a lot of deployments. I did 11 deployments to both Iraq and Afghanistan. Wow. So I think that's where I got my formal education process, if you will, is being the end user.
Yeah.
And then through the National Guard, I had a unique opportunity. I was actually, got out and was a police officer for a couple of years, and then out of the blue had that opportunity to go to work for the Maneuver Center of Excellence at Fort Benning, writing the writing new weapons development requirements documents. And that just further enhanced that education lesson, being able to interact with industry. I fell in love, and I already was obviously in love with guns, in love with everything to do with guns. From 5 years old, I've been shooting firearms. And I had that love there, but then fell in love with the gun industry, and Oneida was gracious enough to give me a job and let me head up this new government products division that we're doing now.
Man, it's how cool is it for you though to be right in the middle of the battle, man? I mean, it's like I said, it's something that's going to change the world, literally, and you get to take part in it. That's pretty cool. I mean, coming from the Ranger Regiment and all that, and through all that, it's got to be pretty neat for you. It
is. I had a lot to do with the program on the government side, and then I feel like now I'm right in the middle of it, like you said. It's neat to see it come to fruition.
Yeah, that's got to be cool, man. Well, good luck, and keep us posted through David Power, our good friend, other coworker at Oneida Molded Plastics, or just keep us in the loop. We'll have you guys back on as things get a little more interesting in the fight for the next generation weapon systems. Everybody, we've been talking to Jason Day, the Director of Business Development and Sales for Oneida Molded Plastics, about the Army Next Generation Weapon System, man. Very cool, dude.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. We're going to take another break. We're going to go pay some sponsors. Listen to the Rockcastle Gun Show, ESPN Radio 1027.com.
I want to tell you about the Cheetah Clean Auto Wash Unlimited plan and how it will save you time and money. True story. Last month, in my parking spot at home, I kept noticing a bird had executed an aerial attack on my car. So I went to Cheetah Clean. Then the next morning, same thing. Direct hit, plural. Finally caught the red bird red-handed. It was seeing itself in my mirror, but he thought it was a foe. No more washing your car and then it rains and you wasted your cash. Just shoot through Cheetah Clean Auto Wash and you're back in a dash. Cheetah Clean Auto Wash, 3 locations. 31W Bypass, Veterans Memorial, and Franklin, Kentucky. CheetahClean.com.
The U.S. Army is offering up to $65,000 in student loan reimbursement as a new enlistment incentive. The program is available for nearly 50 different occupations, covering both full-time and part-time careers in the U.S. Army and Army Reserve. The total amount of loan reimbursement varies depending on the length of the individual's enlistment contract. For more information, talk to your local Army recruiter or check us out online at www.goarmy.com. Listen each week to Tennessee Titans football on 105.3 The Point as they battle for the playoffs. Presented by Southern States of Franklin, Russellville, and Bowling Green. Also brought to you by Bowling Green Refrigeration, Heating, and Cooling. Bank of Edmonson County. First Step Prosthetics and Orthotics. Overtime Sports Bar and Grill. Ferguson Bath Kitchen and Lighting Gallery. And Coca-Cola. It's your home for Tennessee Titans football every week in Southern Kentucky. 105.3 The Point. Tighten up.
Although hunting to most of us is much more than just harvesting animals, why not better your deer herd's health with Big & J Long Range Attractant? Big & J is highly digestible, high in protein, and isn't full of preservatives. With Big & J Long Range Attractants, you're not only exploiting one of the few weaknesses whitetails have, their stomachs, but you're maximizing antler growth, improving overall herd health, and pulling deer from your neighbor's property. So whether your goals are to fill the freezer, kill mature bucks, or both, Big & J Long Range Attractants will stack the odds in your favor, all the while making your deer herd bigger and healthier.
This is Nate from Rockcastle Shooting Center. Did you know that one of the premier shooting ranges in the world is right here in South Central Kentucky? Rockcastle Shooting Center has something for everyone's recreational shooting enjoyment. From 3D archery to our brand new sporting clays course, handgun ranges full of steel to targets out to a mile. There's no better place to get some trigger time than Rockcastle Shooting Center. Non-members are welcome, and memberships start at $150 per year. We offer a fantastic range of firearms training and education opportunities from the most basic to the most advanced. Come see us, exit 48 on I-65, Park City, Kentucky. Visit rockcastleshootingcenter.com.
You might as well rock right here with the Rockcastle Gun Show every Wednesday night, generally from 6 to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. But tonight we're on a little bit early because the Lady Hilltoppers, the Western Kentucky University Lady Hilltoppers, are going to have a little game up at Diddle Arena here, and they're gonna go to that live right after the show, like 2 minutes after we leave. But great show, man. We just got off. Our next guest would have been interested in the last segment. I don't know if you're listening, dude, but we just had a dude on talking about the next generation weapon system in the military.
Jacob Herman is our guest, and hey, dude, you've been out there killing a bunch of deer and squirrel hunting and doing a little work too. What's up, Jacob?
We have had a good time. What's up, guys? How are you guys?
Man, we're good. I just said to Nick, he's an old Western Kentucky, Tennessee hillbilly coming on, the luckiest man alive right here, Jacob Herman.
It's good to be on, guys. How are you?
Man, we've been good, man. I wanted to get on talk about some pistol sights, but I know you have a lot of other shenanigans going on. Like Nick said, saw you squirrel hunting, deer hunting, rocking it out, and night fishing sights, man.
So Night Vision's just released the perfect, what we call the, we've had the perfect dot, right? So Night Vision, we make all the compasses for the government, and we make the brightest tritium sights on the market. And we've just come out with what we call the glow domes. And what that is we're trying to figure out a way to direct the light on the tritium. And so we've made a dome. And it's almost kind of like a watch face, and it directs the tritium light straight towards your eyes. So those are called the glow domes. And the ring around them, that glows as well. The plastic actually glows in the dark once you charge it with a flashlight. So that's the new thing we've got out at Night Vision.
And what now, pistol sights, man? I mean, there was a lot of pistol sights on the marketplace, but when you first came up and started talking about this is kind of a big deal. The tritium is very bright in your sights.
We are 30% brighter than anybody else. And it's not hard, right? We just put more tritium in the vial.
Yeah.
It's like, if we can stuff more in it, let's stuff more in it.
That's cool. And so you're making them now for how many different guns?
Glock, SIG, Canic, CZ, Walther. We just come out with Walther, so that's not been too long ago. 1911 Novak cuts, Smith & Wesson, all the big boys. The 1911 cuts and the Walthers are the newest on the market. So, and those, we've got the glow domes out in Glock, SIG, Smith.
And you guys have only been out you've only been out for like 2 years, right?
We've been out for 3 now.
3 now.
So we've been making sights for 3 years. Now, the parent company, Kaminga Compass, they make all the compasses for U.S. government. So the Lensatic compass that everybody's used to. We make those as well. And that's kind of where we, learned how to do the tritium. And that company's been in business about 30 years.
And where are they out of?
In Michigan. They're up in Michigan, in Dearborn, Michigan.
And you're lucky enough to be down in Nash, Vegas.
Right. That was part of the deal. Is I don't have to move.
Well, it's a good life, and the sight, sights is important. Right now, like I have a stock Glock, and it doesn't have glow sights on it. And I guess part of the Rockcastle tip for this segment is going to be when you get glow dots on glowing sights on your pistol, you really need to go out and shoot it in the dark or low light.
Yeah.
Because it's different. It's different, isn't it?
It's completely different. And that's what, it's mostly what people have the hardest time with is the transition from light to dark. I don't think people, kind of have a misconception about they're going to shoot their pistol in the dark, but that's not really what it's for. You are never in a total dark situation unless you're in the Rockcastle cave, right?
We can go
You're
dark,
never going to be in a totally
dark
situation. Right, so it's the low light. And that's where a lot of people get confused because they turn their lights out in their bedroom completely at night, and they're like, oh, man, these are dark. Can't see anything else. It's about how bright they are in a transitional light.
And there's a fine line, too. You don't want it too bright, right? But you got to have it bright enough. And then you got
you don't want them too bright.
And then you got to practice with it because when in a low light situation, I know from the law enforcement side of my life, looking down the sights in a low light, when we're doing training and everything in a dark house or a shoot house, it's different, and you can get confused a little bit on the sights because you got this whole new glow about you, and
100%,
and it may get in the way of your target if you don't train with it enough.
Right, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah,
that's exactly what happens.
So, Jacob, the glow domes they're out on the market right now. They're
out.
Launched?
We've been shipping right out a month since NASGW. We started shipping.
Awesome.
So they're at the distributors now. They're at the gun stores. They're getting into the gun stores. It takes a little while to get from the distributors to the stores. So they're moving right along, and they're available on our website, nightvision.com, and you can find us on Instagram and Facebook.
Now there's a fishing light company called Night Vision, but it's different spelling. So it's Night Vision is Fision, right?
Fision, yeah, absolutely.
Right on, man. And so, like, down in Nashville, I think I saw some posts from you today you were at Outpost Armory. So a place like the Outpost.
I did. I got an email today that said I had 2 suppressors come back.
Oh.
So I'm actually in Savannah, Georgia for the Epic media shoot. So there's about 50 gun outdoor sporting goods companies down here, and we're down here really excited about that. And let me think, like, who else is here? There's Poly 80, there's C&G Holsters, Head Down Firearms. They're all here. I think SIG's here. There's about 50 companies, and that's been put on by Big Daddy Outdoors, Big Daddy Unlimited. And we're really excited. We're going to that Friday, and there's going to be about 50 media people here between, the YouTubers and the TV show guys. So we're super stoked about that.
That's going to be cool. Is it something open to the public or just the media peeps?
It's not. It's all a media shoot, so it's invite only. So it's where, we're right before SHOT Show, effectively, for us, in the industry.
Yep.
And it's kind of the last time you can get in front of the YouTubers and the media people before we all go to SHOT Show.
Well, tell us a little bit more about that deer you shot the other day.
Man, that was a big deer, wasn't it?
It sure was. That was a huge deer.
Well, I've been on a hunting kick. Allie, my girlfriend, is from Montana, and they don't squirrel hunt in Montana. And so we started squirrel hunting about 2 weeks ago, pretty heavy, and have been pretty successful. We don't have a full freezer full yet, but I'm threatening to try to get her to eat the brain, the squirrel brains and eggs, but apparently not supposed to do that anymore. And
they
a buddy of
got
mine
too much
went
Roundup
hunting
or
a
something.
couple weeks ago at B Diamond K. It's in Dillon, Montana, and the boy that runs it, they've got about 46,000 acres there, and
Wow.
it is like real deal ranch, right? Like it is not a game ranch. It is a working cattle and hay operation. And he told me they're the largest hay producers in Montana, and they do about 8 deer hunts a year, and that's it. So the only high fence they have is the fence that they put around the hay to keep the deer out. They keep the deer out of the feed. And so it's the exact opposite everywhere else. So everything on there is 100% natural. They've never brought in animals. They've never, fenced them in and brought in genetics. It's 100% like it's honest to God ranch hunt.
You said
it was awesome.
You said the number of deer.
Awesome.
The number of deer was just mind blowing, huh?
Yeah, they said that they counted something like on the ranch, something like 2,000 whitetails. And I shot a big one. I mean, he's right at 150, if not a little better. He was huge deer, but his old deer is 5.5. But I'm super stoked to go. And, you can find those guys on Facebook, and kind of like, I paid for it, right? So it wasn't like a free hunt to go out. A lot of guys in the business, they get a free one, but I paid for that one. I was just really blessed to be able to get the opportunity to go. They had a cancellation, right? Because, you guys know me. You guys know me, 10 years? I'm not a planner.
No, you're not.
And I found out about this about a week and a half ago. So they were like, do you want to go? I had a tag. I'd pulled a deer and an elk tag for Montana earlier in the year, and so I had a tag I hadn't filled. And so I went up there and shot a great deer and shot a cow elk.
Nice.
And American Airlines lost my rifle.
Oh,
so
no.
they lost my field craft, my Vortex Viper HD binoculars. I had my Night Force on there, my rangefinder. I didn't even have my pocket knife. And the guy that owned the ranch had a 7mm Weatherby Mark V, one of those real nice ones from, the U.S.-made guns.
Yeah.
And I shot the deer. We shot that deer at 320 yards, and it just dropped like a rock.
So did they find your fieldcraft?
Yeah, I got it back on Sunday when I got back to the airport.
That's awesome.
You went up there naked,
So
man.
you've been doing some stuff with our friends from Barrett and the Fieldcraft line. I think you went to Africa with them, and
We did. Me and Chris went to Africa, had a big time.
was that not an awesome rifle?
We took one of my fraternity brothers over there as well, Brandon Robbins, who owns a big equipment place in Crossville. And so we all went, and we went on a real deal safari, and it was awesome. I mean, we were at a place, and that guy has like 200,000 acres.
Yeah, it's
and
a
it
whole
was
different
gnarly.
world.
It was like Africa. It was super cool.
That's awesome. We had
But took the 30-06s, man, had a blast.
We had the Fieldcraft people on. If you go back to our shows, let's say NRA annual meetings, which would have been this last May, we had them on here talking about the Fieldcraft. Great rifle line. Guy showed up at Rockcastle Shooting Center the other day with a Fieldcraft hat on, and I was like, "Are you an owner?" And he's like, "No, I wish I was."
Mine weighs like 5.8 pounds. I mean, you can't beat it. Yeah. It's a great gun. I did buy a cool gun for squirrel hunting. I bought a nylon 66 yesterday.
Nice.
I'll tell you what, one of those squirrels you posted looked like a Boone and Crockett, man. That thing was huge.
I've had a couple of people comment about that. I don't know how you measure a squirrel, but I'm going to find out. That's how Jim Shockey got famous, is he went around and found everything that nobody was really hunting. So maybe I could be the world's best semi-pro squirrel hunter.
That would be awesome.
Well, we have Squirrelapalooza up at Rockcastle Shooting Center. She used to come join us, get a bunch of
when is that?
Former Green Berets up there.
December 3rd and 4th, man. That weekend.
November 3rd and 4th.
December.
December 3rd and 4th.
Coming.
Yeah, we'll have 3 of the 12 strong guys there from ODA 565, 595, the horse soldiers. So they bring in their squirrel dogs, and they call it Squirrelapalooza. We'd love to have you up there with them.
Are they pretty professional squirrel hunters?
Yes, they are.
Very
totally.
so.
Nice.
Dogs and all. I mean, the whole 9 yards. They hunt hard.
Nice.
At Rockcastle, they average a squirrel about every 5 minutes of the hunt, so they kill a lot of squirrels.
I may have to come to that. We may have to bring our camera up and have a squirrel hunt. Would y'all cook them afterwards?
Yeah, they cook them.
Oh yeah, they skin them and cook them and do everything.
We were going to make tacos out of them, squirrel tacos.
That sounds so good right now.
Crock pot.
Sounds so good. And hey,
Allie's not a fan of the brains. I don't.
Tell her that we know that she's way better than you. By the way.
I will. I think she can hear you. She's laughing. She's laughing now hysterically.
Good. Her sister's pretty cool too. So, thanks for coming on, dude. Enjoyed having you.
Guys, thanks for having us.
Go find Night Fishing. I imagine it's nightfishing.com, FISION.
Nightfishing.com. Yeah, FISION, and on Instagram. And if you can't find it, I'm on Instagram, R. Jacob Herman. I'm pretty easy to find.
R. Jacob.
Unless you're mad at me about something or I owe you money.
That's right. Go check out those glow domes. That sounds cool. I can't wait to get one on a pistol.
Right on, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Come
to Squirrelapalooza.
Thanks for letting me come on.
All right, man. That's going to wrap us up.
No, we're going to break.
We're going to break. Coming right back.
J&K Used Cars is the place to go when you need a quality automobile at an affordable price. Stop in at 670 on the Bypass in Bowling Green and see this week's special. 2006 Honda Ridgeline. Local trade comes with 4-wheel drive, good miles, leather interior, navigation and sunroof, chrome wheels, power options, and more.
Swagger. Introducing the Swagger Bipods. They expand your shooting zone with Swagger, the all-terrain hunting bipod. After more than 100 years, finally shooters have a bipod with patented, flexible, hyper-extending telescoping legs that give you the agility like never before. So get rid of stiff legs and get the bipod with infinite maneuverability. Swagger, the bipod that moves.
This is Nate from Rockcastle Shooting Center. Did you know that one of the premier shooting ranges in the world is right here in South Central Kentucky? Rockcastle Shooting Center has something for everyone's recreational shooting enjoyment. From 3D archery to our brand new sporting clays course, handgun ranges full of steel to targets out to a mile. There's no better place to get some trigger time than Rockcastle Shooting Center. Non-members are welcome, and memberships start at $150 per year. We offer a fantastic range of firearms training and education opportunities from the most basic to the most advanced. Come see us, exit 48 on I-65, Park City, Kentucky. Visit rockcastleshootingcenter.com.
This is a Morgan & Morgan consumer message.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. One of the most common and life-altering injuries that we see after a car crash is a herniated disc. Often it causes a lifetime of care, injections, and surgeries. A life where the most simple enjoyments become painful struggles. But insurance companies often refuse to pay for these injuries. They say disc herniation is no big deal, but we know the truth. We know how life-altering a disc herniation can be. We've won millions of dollars for clients with disc herniation because we know how devastating these injuries really are. If you have a herniated disc after a car crash, call us. You can reach us by dialing pound law on your cell phone. That's pound 529. Pound law, that's all. If you're injured in a car crash or at work, call us. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Offices Bowling Green.
Little Billy Squires, we come right back into the Rockcastle Gun Show on ESPN Radio. Hey, listen to our iTunes podcast, download it wherever you get your podcasts. This is number 137 tonight. Had a great show, Nate.
I enjoyed the heck out of it, man. Anytime you're talking about guns in America and American dominance with the new next generation weapon system in the military, good stuff from Night Vision and our good friends at Warren Scope Mounts, man. Good show.
Yeah, it was awesome. So download, check it out. Rockcastle Shooting Center, exit 48 on I-65, and we do all things guns, competitive shooting. We have lessons and all kinds of classes to do, so come check us out up at Rockcastle Shooting Center, rockcastleshootingcenter.com. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook and all that jazz.
It's going to be a good night. We're getting off here, and we're going to go to some basketball.
Yeah, we're going to do that. The Lady Toppers up at Diddle Arena versus Belmont. And Lady Toppers are, let's hopefully get a big win tonight up on the hill. And it's always cool, even though we're the only gun show on ESPN Radio, but every once in a while we get bumped around. So it's always not a big deal for us to start a little bit early. But we'll be back next week at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 to 7 p.m. each and every week. And anyway, So let's kick it off to the Hilltoppers live action. Lady Toppers against Belmont, Diddle Arena.
1027, Brent Williams. What's up?